Welcome to my brief presentation. My name is Ash Nalawala, also known as Ashok. I went to high school with Mr. Raj Jaswar, who's to digital marketing entrepreneurship. I live in Melbourne, Australia, so that might explain my strange accent. So my background is 20 years in the SEO industry, mostly in banks and insurance giants, Australian companies. And I've done some consulting as well in between. So currently I'm with Australia's largest marketplace known as carsales.com.au, and I look after the SEO for 7 or 8 of their brands. You can look them up at some point. For me, the most exciting thing at the moment is I'm writing this book that you see on the right hand side called The Accidental SEO Manager. It's only a tentative title, so the publisher might change it. It's aimed at the people who look after the SEO function rather than SEO operators themselves. So there's a slight difference really to make the boss understand what this SEO is about. So maybe for those of you who don't fully grasp it, maybe it could be a nice introduction. Let's see. It should be out in the middle of 2022. So let's find out. If you want to connect on LinkedIn, please send me a connection request. You see a link at the bottom. But do mention this class because I get lots of connection requests with no context. People just click the connect button, and so you don't know who they are, why do they want to connect. But if you do mention this class, then I'll definitely connect with you. So here are the bullet points that cover what matters in 2022 when it comes to SEO. You might have heard some of these things before, or you might have some other ideas about what you think SEO is, but these are the most important things that do matter. So if you can only remember these dozen or so bullet points, then you'll be able to describe SEO confidently. I won't read these here because these are the headings of the slides. So the most important point here is that SEO can bring in 30 to 60% of online revenues. Now think about that. If you are going to start a venture, then this is really important. Get a professional SEO in the mix as early as you can afford one. Don't just listen to one of your co-founders who thinks they know SEO. I've seen far too many startups have tried to save money because they thought it was no big deal, but see their sites and maybe they're successful in other ways, but they're leaving money on the table simply by treating it as mumbo jumbo, but it's not. I would encourage you to give SEO the same focus as pay per click, PPC, or SEM, which is search engine marketing. Introduce proper governance, SEO governance, whatever, in your company. It's a very specialized profession. It's not something you can pick up from reading one article or even listening to me today. It takes a few years of learning just the principles, applying them, making mistakes, and now I'm still learning after 20 years. So the other thing to remember is that SEOs can only specialize in a few things. There's just too many things to learn, and you can't be an expert in all aspects of SEO. So for example, if you're using a particular shop front or a marketplace platform, then you might only be an expert in one or two things. detailed level. There are some base principles that apply to everything, which is good, but try and get an SEO who understands your platform. Google now is moving more and more into artificial intelligence and machine learning, and that's going to make the job easier. What you need to understand is the concept of search intent. When people say something when they're searching with voice, or if they're typing something, then Google does its best to understand what that person really wants, not the words they type, because maybe their English isn't good or they just typed in shorthand. But Google tries to understand the intent. Is it just for information? Is it navigational? Is it transactional? And so on. Then it finds the most relevant page and gives it to you. So we'll cover that in the next slide, but the takeaway from this slide is don't try and trick Google by trying to be clever with the language. Now, you've probably heard of keywords, but I'm going to ask you to put that aside and think of entities. An entity is a thing, it's a place, or it's a person, and Google can figure that out. So I use a simple example. You might know that New York City is also called the Big Apple, Manhattan, Metropolis, Gotham City, the 5 boroughs, etc. But Google can say, oh, they're asking about New York, so we'll just give them information about New York, even though you've typed one of these other search terms. Now, keywords have never gone away, and they're not going away, but it's a collection of these keywords that make up this entity. And Google calls it the knowledge graph. So everything is managed in terms of this knowledge graph, and we call SEO semantic SEO. When you search for something, you get what's called a search engine results page, or a SERP, S-E-R-P. If you did a search for IITB or IITGN, you'll get a page like you see on the screen, which I'm really impressed by whoever has done the SEO for IIT, or maybe they didn't do specific SEO, but Google's smart enough to figure it out. Whoever did it, I'd rather give them the credit, and I encourage people to do it the way IIT is done. What's really important now is mobile performance. More people are using a phone to do their searching. Certain things will still be done on the desktop because you just need a big screen to read certain things like complex documents or tables. They're easier to digest on a big screen, but a lot of the basic initial research is done on the phone. So when you use this Chrome browser, which is the most common browser nowadays, it's made by Google, install Lighthouse. It's an extension, and it gives you a little icon of a lighthouse. So you click that when you come to a particular web page, and it takes a few seconds or maybe a minute, and when it stops, it gives you a score like you see on the screen. Now that score is of my website, which is crm911.com, and you'll notice that I've got 100% for 3 things, but only 69 for performance, and I'm trying to tell you the performance is important. That's only because this is not an important website for me. It's my email website. I used it when I was consulting. Currently I work for someone, so I don't really use this website for much. Therefore, it's sitting on a cheap web hosting service, which is shared with thousands of other people. So performance score is going to be low. So don't worry about why I'm getting 69. I know I can use certain faster options like CloudFront, for example, and I can raise that to 90. But when I was testing that, there were some other issues that made me think, no, I'll forget that for the time being, because hardly anyone comes to this website. One thing that you should look at is structured data tags, and these are tags that you may not be able to read them well here on the right hand side, but I believe that this is trying to describe a contact of information data points, and it's got special tags to identify telephone and different types of telephones, and it says, well, this is the customer service telephone number, this is the technical support number, this is for paying bills. So what it's trying to do is, if you simply put phone numbers, Google can't just assume that this is your tech support number or this is your customer service number. It has to guess. But why make it guess when you can explicitly say that this is this and this is not that? You can also use them for hundreds of different things, and I encourage you to discover these hundreds of tags and decide which ones apply to you. So if you're offering a special price, a discount, there is a special tag for that. A common example is a product which has got ratings and reviews. So when you look at, say, this example on the screen here, which has got 5 stars or 4.5 rating for a couple of cameras, now that can only happen if there is some kind of tagging being done. I've not looked at these sites, but I'm just using the picture as an example. Sometimes Google is smart and it can pick up these ratings from other places, but I'm just giving you this example. Expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. It's a content-related acronym, and that content refers to a high-quality page, and Google hires these third-party people to look at some sample pages that it gives them. It says, okay, here are the criteria, give it a score, and then you can your score at the end of the exercise. Then Google goes away, compares these scores with what the algorithm has determined, and it fine-tunes the algorithm. If 100 of these contract evaluators are scoring it lower, then Google can turn down its knob, the algorithm, to adjust it to what a human is assessing. All websites that involve money into this category called your money, your life. So whether it's money or your life, like health, are given far more scrutiny by the algorithm than just a generic, that just information about maybe a tourism destination. That's just informative. It's not a place where you can buy an airline ticket, then it becomes a money site. Then there is far more evaluation done. And there's a URL that you can add. Links are important, and high quality links are really important. And there are 3 types of links: inbound, outbound, and internal. So inbound links are sites that link to you. They might have a word that links to your website. Ideally get them from a high quality content site, especially if they relate to your kind of business. So a finance website linking to a bank, that's a really good example of a quality inbound link. Similarly, when you link to someone else, be very careful. Don't be over generous about giving out links. Make them no follow unless they are in your industry and are directly connected with you, because you are giving them a vote of confidence. So you can have what's called a no-follow tag in your code. Now, internal links are really important as well. So if you have some product pages, then set up a blog. One blog article should be about one topic, like one product, and that links to its corresponding product page, and that's powerful. And don't put too many links on a single page because you're diluting the value of the existing links by every additional link that you put in. Don't use mega navs. A mega nav is at the top of the screen. It drops down. It's a menu. It's a navigation mechanism. And each of those destinations are links. So if you had the same mega nav on every page of the website, you're saying that, well, every page links to everything else, and you are dishing out what's called PageRank. You're dishing out the same quantity of PageRank to every other page. So when Google's trying to say, well, which page on this website is more important than the other, it's going to look at links, and it thinks, oh, well, every page seems to be as important as each other, and the product page is as good as the contact us page, and it's not. So perhaps look at this ICICI Bank, and it's done a reasonable job. It's not a perfect job of what's called a flat navigation, which is not a mega nav, and I recommend a flat nav. Never rely on Google for free traffic because the algorithm keeps changing all the time. So if you build a site with poor choices like thin content, where every page is much the same like another page with very little being unique, then Google might decide not to bother with your site. It'll lower your ranking, or you won't even see it. Ads are important to Google, so your content will always be pushed down if there are ads above. Now, don't ignore ads as part of your strategy, because if you don't advertise, then someone else gets the ad click and that's above you. Even if you're number one in Google, someone might have an ad above you. Now, accessibility is really important. It's not just making websites accessible to humans because they can't read well or they have some other difficulty, but there's a legal reason as well. Countries have laws about making websites accessible. However, from the SEO viewpoint, if Google Spider can't crawl through your website, then you failed in terms of accessibility. If Google might find your homepage, but it may not find the rest of your website. And there's a long list of tools I'd like you to explore little by little. Some of these need a login, some of them need you to register your web with Google, and that's how you tell Google about yourself. Some of them are informative tools like trends. You can set up alerts about certain things, so I'll let you explore these at your leisure. So thank you very much. I hope this presentation was quick and easy. If you have questions, write to me at that email address. Thank you very much.